motherfucking 3. You niggas can't fuck with the M.O.B. 1, 2, motherfucking 3. You niggas can't fuck with the M.O.B. This is Get So Rock music, bitch. 4-5 rock music, child music, cocaine rock moving, OG hop abusing niggas like the hustler. I was whipping kick for hours, Taliban dropping towers, hammerman, chop ups and young niggas gun clocking, dropping bombs like test the verb in a cold white.
Before we get to this, let's hit the like, subscribe, comment, do all things to help support this channel. Hit the bell notification, man, for further future content, man. Now, I've been watching a lot of stuff that's been going on in LA County with the Sheriff's Department, and they've allegedly created some type of task force to, you know what I'm saying, weed out these Sheriff's Department gangs and whatnot, right? So I think it's important to find that, you know, in the past, there's been a gang of law enforcement officers who've done certain things. Besides like we had the Rough Riders in Oakland, you had all kinds of different factions, right? But one of the biggest ones that doesn't get enough attention at times, that you guys are all familiar with, is the Green Wall. Now, the Green Wall, how the Green Wall established was there was a riot in Salinas Valley in 1998. In the process, right, of these individuals committing the riot, a lot of prison guards were attacked in the process. They got off on the prison guards, okay? So that same day, what they ended up doing, they ended up getting a whole bunch of different inmates, putting them in handcuffs, beating the shit out of them, right? And they started pledging, right, with a turkey pin. You started seeing different signs. They created what you call the Green Wall, 723. And they had pins. They had they used monikers like 723. They took pictures of with a W and a 7 like that, and a G and so forth, man. And they started to focus on attacking other inmates. In fact, their warden, right? The warden's name at that time, let me tell you guys, right, was a strong supporter. His name was, hold on, I'll tell you right now, Anthony Lamarque. He was a warden at that time, and he actually promoted the Green Wall amongst its correctional officers. He wanted them to make a stance to show the prisoners who was boss. I guess that riot pissed off a lot of different officers. So what they started to do, right, is they started to infiltrate different types of positions within the institution. You know, they had Green Wall everywhere. And what they were doing, they were rogue cops. They were going against policy and procedures to show inmates who was boss, who was running shit. They would deprive you of fucking food sometimes, of your basic necessities, basically attack you, find a reason to put you up in a cell, and then about 5 of them jump on you. And at that time, there's no cameras. There's no witnesses. And if you were an inmate and you wanted to support someone in a class action lawsuit, you were going to be attacked. Now, they were able to basically spread throughout the system a little bit, man, to other institutions. As certain correctional officers wanted to transfer, they started to recruit in like places like Corcoran, Pleasant Valley, and so forth, man. You know, they had people in positions of like sergeant, you know, IGI. They even had someone infiltrate the IGI. They had a Green Wall individual. Some of these officers would come to fucking work with a green band on. One of them came, they gave one officer, it said 723 Green Wall. They presented him a knife. All kinds of corrupt shit, man. And I went through Salinas Valley at that time when they were active. And they were fucking dicks over there, man. They were no joke, right? They would just deliberately look for a reason. They would try to bait you, man, because all they wanted to do was fucking get off on you and show you who was boss, right? Now, you know, there was numerous things that happened at that time. Like I remember North Daniel got killed in front of your urinals on the yard. They shot him. You know, there's a lot of inmates that got shot. There's a lot of stuff to where, you know, the officers could justify their actions, but their actions were deliberate, basically, to attack other inmates. When I was in Corcoran SHU, we had a homeboy that was a legal beagle, right? And they hate that. So he would always put in paperwork, right, against the officers. And one day, they tossed up his cell while he was at yard, and they took a green Kool-Aid and they put GW 723 on it with Green Wall. And so basically he ended up writing the 602, and he wrote it on behalf of class action that we were standing against the Green Wall. I actually got interviewed for it, but I never witnessed anything. I heard. So I couldn't really give anything that was an accurate interview. But what really came to light, right, was in 2004, there was a correctional officer. Let me see. I have his name right here. Named DJ Vodka. Now, this was an old school 15-year veteran. He was 6'6", 280. He was like an old school cop. He did his job. You know what I'm saying? Gave you what you had coming, but wasn't going to give you what you didn't have coming. You know what I'm saying? And he started to see a lot of the abuses, right? And some of the things that occurred, like that he would be sent as an investigator at times, taking pictures. And that's how he first caught when they beat these dudes up before they took pictures. These guys had allegedly attacked cops when there was a riot. Now, before they got to him, they took each one of these guys and beat the shit out of them and then brought them in there for pictures. You know what I'm saying? And so, like I said, from here, he ended up becoming a whistleblower. Okay. And everybody knows, whether you're an inmate, a businessman, you're fucking a cop, they all take care of their own. And so he was fucking cast aside, right? Basically blackballed everywhere he went. He got transferred to another prison. His own officers were calling him fucking a fat snitch, a fucking rat, all kinds of shit. So he ended up having to leave, right? But in the process of him leaving, he shed light, right, in Senate committee hearings to where he testified about what was going on with the Green Mall. Now, of course, there wasn't too much media attention around this time. This was the same time when Corcoran had just beat their lawsuit that was filed when those officers were charged, right? You had the feds in Corcoran at the time investigating. They were on their best behavior because of that trial. But the Corcoran officers ended up beating it because why? Everybody wonders, well, how could you stage fights and fucking shoot people and do all this? Because this is how they got around it. Because the Department Operations Manual, they were implementing what they were supposed to with reintegrated guards. So they were doing their job, even knowing that these guys were to get off. These guards knew it, but they still did it. And this is where I have a question about that. If you know something is going to affect, the prison, but your whole concern is for the safety and security of every inmate, then why would you even do it, even if it says it's a procedure? I still think they should have been held accountable because they knew what was going to happen. They would take out like 5 Woods or 5 Sureños and put 1 black or 1 Norteño out in the guard, and you know what's going to happen on the assets. Back then, they're going to get off. A lot of this stuff forced what you call the stand down position that the MA and NF took. That when the doors popped open in the shoe, we stopped getting off with each other because what was happening was they were shooting us. So this is kind of where all the dialogue and communication between the NF and MA started to occur, and AB and all that. Because they realized, look, we're biting into what the cops are doing. You know what I'm saying? The same struggle was going on with the Green Wall, though, man. And this DJ Vodka was a big impact, as was I think it was a senator named Jackie Spear, I believe, was also the one that was really key as far as in making a push, right? But there wasn't enough attention that should have happened, man. Like nowadays, you see stuff with George Floyd and all these other stuff that's happened recently, right? And it gets the attention that's needed, right? And those issues sometimes get more attention than others, right? Because that's for media narratives, political. So when it comes to inmates, though, nobody really cares. You know what I'm saying? So when all this stuff was happening with the Green Law, they were doing fucking cell extractions just to do it. They wouldn't even go through proper procedures. They have procedures they have to go by. Bring a psych first, bring the captain, the lieutenant, then the captain before they do a cell extraction. Because I've been through some cell extractions. These guys didn't give a fuck. Let's just go up in there and beat the shit out of you. That's just how they played, man. They didn't care. They were a fucking gang of hoods that had fucking uniforms. Now, not to say that every cop was engaging in those activities, right? But there was a lot that turned a blind eye. Because, they have the code of green or the code of blue. And that's why I've always said that the biggest issue that we have within the law enforcement and procedures, right, to bridge the gap between the community and law enforcement is that you have to hold cops accountable for their actions. You have to hold those cops accountable who even witness it. So if you're a cop, this is why they have to change the laws. They have to make it to where whether you committed the crime against an inmate or a suspect or whatever, a citizen, you have to hold every cop accountable. If you're a cop and you allow it to happen, you have to have laws that's going to fucking affect him, his pension and everything, because then you're going to have good cops that are going to sit there and say, look, man, I'm not going to lose my job over you. You know what I'm saying? Same thing needs to happen in the Department of Corrections, man. Only then will you see change. But, the Green Wall, they got away with it. There was no consequences. There was no issues, and they're still around. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't give the attention that the media wants. You know what I'm saying? And this is all true. But now you have the Sheriff's Department that's going through their thing with, the little clubs that they have, and they have their own insignia and hand signals and lickas and all that shit, man. Green Wall was doing the same fucking shit, man. Just no one called them on it, man. And I commend that correctional officer who took a stand and reported it. He came out as a whistleblower. That must have been hard, especially knowing that the backlash you're going to get. But sometimes you have to do the right thing, man, in order for people who really have morals and integrity to respect you. Because not everybody is always bad. Like I said, there's those cops that do the 9 to 5. I respect cops. We need cops. But then there's those cops, man, that do that 9 to 5, and they're looking for a reason to be corrupt. They're looking for a reason to attack you. They're looking for a reason to harass you. Those are the cops that I can't stand. You know what I'm saying? Just do your job. If you catch someone doing something, then do what you need to do. Ain't no one going to fault you for doing your job. But when you start to signal people out because of their, racial makeup, their gang affiliations, their tattoos, the way they look, I got an issue with that, man. That's a problem. And that's what was going on in Salinas Valley. They were targeting certain groups specifically. You know what I'm saying? And if you gave them any type of fucking kind of resistance or any type of fucking talk back, they were coming up in that cell. Because they were fucking with the homeboy downstairs, man. You know what I'm saying? Real bad. I still thought it was crazy that we wrote a fucking class action in fucking corporate shoe about the Green Wall, man. And when me and my cellie went to the interview, they're like, hey, do you know anything about this Green Wall? I couldn't even keep a straight face, man, because it was so comical, man. They're like, have you seen any 723s or GWs? And they were being real serious about this shit, man. I couldn't keep a fucking straight face. I almost busted up laughing and shit, man. The Green Wall is like it's there, but it's like a myth like the GBG. You know what I'm saying? You don't know how big or what their existence really is, but they're there. Without a doubt, man. That's a little history. Like I said, they started in 98 after a Thanksgiving riot. That's why they wear the turkey pin, which is to pay homage. They say to pay homage to their fucking birth based upon the fact of that incident that happened in Salinas Valley. With that said, it's your boy Flacco, man. Hope you guys have a positive day, man. Like I told you, man, I don't always just rock red, man. I'll rock blue as well. With that said, I'm gone.
Block movement, MOB, I'm stamped approved. If you want the static, about to let this beast loose. Picking up work, kickstands in the birdie. Pushing leave it as a Chris, breaking down the wide girly. Workers for the team, running out of product early.